What's up guys, CNCKman1 here, and welcome back to the holodeck test program, where today I'm going to be showing you yet another of the new Starship line that I have created for the CNC Town fleet. I present to you the Defiant class Escort. This ship will be available for download in the description below, along with some assets you'll need to run it, a basic server with the Movecraft plugin and so forth. So yeah, let me explain the main purpose of the ship. First of all, it is heavily based off of the USS Defiant class, from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, posting some images of that on screen now. I did my best to port that design into Minecraft with the Movecraft plugin, as well as incorporating some unique features into this design that other ships didn't have, right? So, this ship is unique because instead of scattering its cannons all along the ship to make sure that there are no blind spots, this ship focuses most of its firepower in the front, but there are little to no cannons along the sides or in the back. This has its advantages and disadvantages, but we'll get to that later. So, first thing you'll notice on the Defiant is its main deck here. So up on top of the ship, you'll notice that instead of the standard Starship armor, this material, we have this white stained clay material. Now, what this white stained clay material allows us to do is it allows us to land fighters or shuttles like this one on top of the Defiant, and have the Defiant be able to carry them, but the shuttles can still take off independently from the Defiant. So let me show you. So, as you can see, I just docked that shuttle. Oh, whoops. I typed the wrong command. Whoops. So you'll see, if I go ahead and release the craft... Oh, it already released it for me. Okay. Well, so you'll see, this ship is docked on top of the Defiant. And if I were to take control of the Defiant and try to move it, the ship would move with it. However, I can still pilot and move this platform independently of the Defiant. So I can land it on top and have it move with the Defiant, or I can move it separately of the Defiant, which is a cool feature. So that's one of the cool features of the Defiant, this upper hull here. Alright. So now I'll show you the actual interior of the ship. So here we are at the main bridge and weapons control. This is where all the action is on board the Defiant. First of all, we have our viewport here, which covers a wide degree of angles. However, I have added some additional armor here to protect it. Normally I have glass down on this bottom layer here, but I've replaced it with armor to help protect the bridge, because it's always annoying when your bridge gets blown up and then you have to divert to auxiliary control. It's just a pain. So we've armored the bridge a bit more while still preserving visibility. Right? So on here we have our basic navigation controls, where you can take control of the Defiant here. And you'll notice that for our helm, instead of the regular helm sign, we have this remote sign helm. And you may have seen this feature in one of Bakayara's videos on this new feature for Movecraft, which allows for remote signs. So basically, what happens when I hit this helm sign here, instead of rotating the ship around this block right here, it instead triggers this helm sign here and rotates the Defiant around this sign, which is about in the middle. So instead of the ship rotating around its nose, it rotates around the middle, which makes maneuvering much easier. Ignore that. It's my Skype. Okay. So, that's a cool feature because it makes maneuvering easier. You know, if you're blocked by something, it's easier to get out of the way of it. Alright? And then we have our standard cruise control right here. Alright. So, the main feature of the Defiant are her weapons. These are some of the most advanced weapons I've created yet. These are quad cannons along with some advanced torpedo tubes, right? So, on either side here, we have this here, which is the quad cannon array. As you can see, we have 4 cannons pointed forward. They are 3 long, and they are armored. You can fire the cannons individually like this, but come on, that's no fun. So, how about instead we fire all 8 of these cannons, all pointed at the same direction at maximum range simultaneously. That sounds like more fun, and you can do that by pressing either of these buttons here. Hard to, as you can see, we made a big dent over there. So you may not have seen it, but we did just fire all 8 of these cannons simultaneously. Now the way this works is the Pirate Cannons plugin, which we use for cannons, allows cannons to be triggered remotely by redstone. So when the cannon detects a piece of redstone, it can be either a redstone wire, a redstone repeater, or a redstone torch underneath the cannon. Whenever that piece of redstone toggles its state, either if it's off it becomes on, or if it's on it becomes off, then the cannon will fire. So as you can see under these cannons here we have the sign of redstone, but also you may underneath these bottom cannons here we have redstone again. Now the way that this redstone manages to connect to both this upper line and this lower line is because of this glowstone. It's a long-standing bug in Minecraft that if you place a glowstone, so you can see this wire down here. Now normally if I were to place a block here, it would interrupt that signal. So the signal wouldn't be able to get down here. However, if I use glowstone, it will not interrupt the signal. So the signal is both going up here and down there at the same time. And I have the same thing on the other side. So that's cool. I've done some combat testing, and these cannons pack a punch. They can put a very large dent in a ship, right? I have armored them slightly to help improve the survivability of the cannons themselves. But yeah, these cannons are great. They're the main feature of the Defiant. A lot of forward-focused firepower, right? So you can fire those with either of these buttons here. Another new piece of technology we've implemented are these advanced torpedo tubes. Now normally when we build a torpedo tube, we just have a single torpedo in its tube pointing forward, right? Now that's certainly effective, but not as effective as it could be. So instead, we have 2 torpedo tubes stacked right on top of each other. We have tube A up here on the ceiling and tube B down here on the floor, both of which are fully functional. But in addition to that, behind the cannons we have a second set of torpedoes. Again, tubes A and B. So, if I'm on the bridge, I can fire tube A, say, right? And so I hit my target, but then I move around and I want to fire tube A again. Now on most ships, I would have to, reload it manually using coal here. But on this ship, I can just fire this tube. It'll fire out of the same torpedo hole, but there's no need to reload until you shoot both torpedoes, right? Same thing with these torpedo tubes on the floor here, and we have an identical set of torpedoes on the side here. These can all be triggered from the bridge, with the remote sign technology. The remote sign tube A1 fires tube A1 right there. The letter represents which tube it is, the number represents which torpedo in line it is. The tube A right there, tube B here, tube C on top there, tube D down here. Right? So, we also have another set of signs for the second tube torpedo in line. Important safety note. Do not fire the second torpedo if you haven't fired the first one yet. They will explode. So if you fire tube A2, if you haven't fired tube A1 yet, and there's still a torpedo in tube A1, the second torpedo will hit the first torpedo, and both will explode, and you will not be happy. But, since you can fire these all from the bridge, you can shoot this scatter volley here, right? So let me go and demonstrate that to you. Okay, so to demonstrate the destructive force of these torpedoes, I've generated a big chunk of of earth there, and so for demonstration purposes, let me first show you what a single torpedo shot will do to this chunk of dirt. Fire torpedo. It's a respectable hole. However, let me show you what happens when I fire all of these torpedo tubes simultaneously. Let me go and back up so you'll be able to see them flying. Okay, let's do this. Fire. So yeah, that's what happens when you fire all of these tubes. That's a much bigger hole. So this is a very effective weapon, and you'll notice I haven't gotten that little center bit there, but I could probably get those, if I'm right, with my cannons. So that's what happens with just one round of fire from the Defiant. Very firepower focused type ship. But of course, now that we've wasted all of our torpedoes on that one attack, we're out. We have to reload. Generally, I wouldn't recommend wasting all of your torpedoes on a single volley, unless you're going for a surprise attack. You can pop out and just fire all the torpedoes and they'll hit them before they even know what's going on. But in general, I would recommend firing them one at a time. So those are the main weapon systems of the Defiant. Now let me show you the rest of the ship. Alright, so over here we have the bomb bay. Our bombs, you can load these with bombs. So, or you can load all 5, or we can just load 1, or you can load this with whatever you want. You can load it with water, lava, whatever you want, you can load this with. We also have some chests on the side here for storage. We can put whatever we want in there. And over here we have bunks, and bunks on that side for crew members. Here we have some more storage over here, and then on the other side we have crafting furnace over here. So this ship does have some utilities, although it is still very, again, firepower focused. And in the very back here we have our auxiliary control, because the ship does have some survivability issues. If your front, because it is so frontal focused, if your front gets blown up, you'll lose all of your weapons, which is bad. So you have two choices: either resort to ramming speed, or you can use the auxiliary control. Here we have 4 cannons. Again, not as powerful as the forward cannons, but good enough. And standard navigation controls. We also have an elevator up on the main deck. So anyways, guys, that is the Defiant class Escort. Be sure to check out the description below to download the ship, and you can also download some, you also download some assets for running the server. So anyways, guys, I'm SaintsGamer1. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And I guess that's about it for this video then. Goodbye.